Neil Ferguson was in Australia recently, and he made a fascinating comment. I heard him observe that he's an economic historian, of course, that down through the ages, no great country has remained great for long when the cost of servicing its debts exceeds what it spends on defence. Well, America crossed that Rubicon, as I understand it, last financial year. Getting
Yes.
that budget under control, it means growth, but it also means restraint. Elon Musk is pointing to areas where there can be big savings. How do you see that unfolding, and how worried are you about that budgetary mess that seemed to receive very little attention during the campaign?
It does. I'm very worried about it. That was his great failing in the first term. That, of course, it was the COVID stimulus. He hadn't been as reckless as Obama, but he ended up as being reckless because of the COVID stimulus. The problem with the $36 trillion debt is that half of it was run up by Republicans. And when Republicans run up the debt, and they're supposed to be sober and judicious custodians of physical sanity, then the left says, well, if they did it, then we're going to do it. Because if, they say they're tightwads and they're not tightwads, so what do you expect of us? The other thing is, when you promise no tips here, no income tax on Social Security, it's kind of, people here have been ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Mr. President, you're giving them $4 trillion of lost revenue. And he says, well, we're going to deregulate the economy and grow our way out of it. I think people think we can grow partly out of it, but not at current spendings. And then when you put all of the social entitlements like Medicare and Social Security off the budget, what are you left with? Well, the left says you have nothing to cut except defense or trim around the margins. But now he's saying, yes, there's a lot to cut, because what you think are essential were pretty much products of the Great Society that we got along fine without. Why do we need a Department of Energy? Why do we need some of these? Why do we have to have a Pravda like National Public Radio or PBS? Maybe we can outsource it. They're talking of all these other areas that are sizable as a way of avoiding to cut Social Security or Medicare. But he's going to have to get the physical. We're spending $1.1 billion servicing the debt. We spend $800 billion, on defense. So he's very worried about defense, as you and I've talked before, because we're putting our money into too few platforms and we're behind. We don't make things anymore. Our supply chains are dependent on foreign suppliers. We've demonized a particular cohort, the white male from the middle class that died at double its numbers in Iraq and Afghanistan, 50,000 short. We have a whole group of generals who, upon retirement, violate the Uniform Code of Military Justice, attack the commander-in-chief. All of these things he's talked about how to address that. But debt I think, should be the center of his focus, because we can't go on this way.